One of the features academic and professional writing forgets is that we write for others. This means that we have different goals than when we write for ourselves in, say, a journal. In personal writing, your goal is to work through your ideas and ideally to put them down in such a way that you can understand them later. When we write for others, however, that focus needs to shift. It is not about our understanding, but about our reader's understanding, whoever that reader might be. In general terms, to ensure the reader understands our argument, we need to focus on 4 elements: presenting a clear focus, providing clear reasons and evidence for the conclusions we draw, organizing our points into a structure where one point flows from the previous one, much like the notes in a song flow from one to the next, articulating our points as clearly as possible. But if we want to do more, if we want to focus on getting the reader to want to read our argument, we need to consider a few additional elements. What perspectives or arguments are we offering our reader? Will our reader recognize the authority of the sources we introduce? How are we going to entertain our audience to make sure they continue to read our article even though they have a number of other things they want and need to do? You can see both of these features at play in the TED Talk, The Best Stats You've Ever Seen. Please take a few minutes to watch the video. There's a link directly below this lecture on our weekly page. In his talk, Hans Rosling integrates specific evidence to share a new insight with his reader, an insight that challenges some of the conceptions we have about the differences between first world and third world countries. Rosling's talk is so effective because he emphasizes a fundamental truth. When we present or write, we ask for our audience's time and attention, which are each valuable. Rosling demonstrates his respect for those gifts of time and attention by providing his audience with something valuable and by presenting it as clearly as he is able. All great communicators do exactly the same thing. As you think about your audience, here are some questions that are often useful. What does my audience demand from a presentation? You will often find this information in the assignment guidelines or from your knowledge of the discipline you study or the professional culture of your career. Make sure you satisfy these demands. What does my audience prefer? Here you have some room to deviate from the norm, but do so only with very good reason. A common example is the preference for complete sentences in academic prose. It is occasionally okay to write a fragment, but only if you have a very good reason to do so. What does my audience expect? You'll develop a sense of these expectations over time. It is okay to deviate from them if you have a reason for doing so. Just make sure the reason is worth momentarily confusing your reader. How will I make my audience want to keep reading? Readers almost always have a number of things competing for their attention. We can make it more likely that they'll pay attention if we provide some entertainment. Stories are a good bet, as are interesting quotations, statistics, and questions. Perhaps most important of all, be sure to give your audience something for paying attention to you. What insight, fact, perspective, or knowledge will they take away from your presentation, and how will it be important to them? Thanks for your time. Let me know if you have any questions.